I never imagined I'd tell this
reserved,
story,
influential,
not out loud,
his name
not to
echoing
anyone.
through rooms
Some
I had
moments
no place
live
in.
better in silence.
He was my daughter's employer,
But this one refuses to
something
stay quiet.
passed between us.
It began on a
Something
late
neither of
summer
us could
evening.
define.
The porch
nor
boards
resist.
were still warm
It
from
started
the day,
innocently,
streaked with
my
amber
daughter,
light as
Olivia,
the sun dipped
had
low
invited me
behind
to
the
her
buildings.
firm's annual fundraiser.
I hadn't turned on the lights
She
inside
spoke
yet.
often
Didn't
of
need
Mr.
to.
Ryland Hayes.
The air clung
how
to its
precise
heat,
he was,
thick
how
and
calm,
golden,
how
a
impossibly
cardboard box
self-possessed.
sat quietly
But
on
her
the steps.
words hadn't prepared me
Harmless,
for the moment I
ordinary.
saw him.
But
he was
taller
already
than
there,
expected,
crouched beside it,
not classically
worn
handsome,
boots,
plain
but
white
captivating.
t-shirt.
His
The
gaze
same
was dark,
easy half
focused,
grin I'd
like
seen
he
a
was
dozen
always
times before.
calculating.
Like
Yet,
he belonged
when he
there
smiled,
without
just
trying
slightly,
to.
something
I
in my
leaned in the
chest
doorway.
popped.
Arms
He didn't
crossed.
speak often, but when
Since
he
you're
did,
already down
his
there,
voice was low
I said,
and deliberate,
voice
as
soft,
if each
more
syllable
teasing
was
than
chosen
serious.
just for your ears.
Mind bringing it in for
I
me?
should have looked away.
He looked up,
should
brow
have
raised,
reminded myself
not
he was
annoyed,
off limits.
just curious.
But the way he held
waiting.
my eyes across the
I
ballroom,
didn't explain.
It felt
Just
like
stepped
we
back
were already
and
in
pushed the
conversation,
door open wider.
even when we
He
weren't
stood,
speaking.
Lifted
I
the box
felt
with
him,
one arm like
every
it weighed
glance,
nothing,
every
and
movement.
followed me inside.
He was always close.
As he passed, his
Later in
shoulder
the
brushed
evening,
mine.
after most
Casual,
guests had left,
but not
I stepped
careless.
out onto the terrace.
The house
to breathe.
didn't feel so
The city
quiet
glittered
after that.
beneath us.
He stood
I
there
wasn't
in the hallway,
alone for long,
box in hand.
You don't really
Like,
belong here.
He wasn't
murmured
sure where to
behind
place
me.
it.
I
I
turned,
nodded toward the living
surprised.
room.
And
He
where
walked
do I
ahead,
belong?
slow and
His
easy,
eyes
and I
dropped
followed.
just briefly.
Sunlight
Somewhere
spilled
no
through
one
the
asks
windows,
you to dim your light,
painting the walls gold.
His words
He
landed
set the box
deep.
down gently
It had
near
been
the end
so
table,
long since
like
anyone
it mattered.
saw beyond the role
I hovered
played.
near the kitchen.
Mother,
Water.
caretaker, background.
I asked.
I should have walked
Sure,
away, but
he
I
said,
didn't.
steady.
When he reached for my
Unrushed.
hand, I felt
The
his
touch
eyes on
was
me as I
feather-light,
moved.
curious,
The hem of my
hesitant.
sundress fluttered
And
just
when I
above
didn't pull
my
back,
knees as
he
I
let it
leaned
linger.
forward to open
I
the
shouldn't be
fridge.
doing this.
When I
He
turned,
said,
he was there
barely
at the counter.
audible.
I
Then
handed
why
him the
are you?
glass.
My
fingers
fingers
trembled.
trembled.
His
He
eyes
drank.
flicked up.
Set it down.
Because you don't
Nice
see the man
place,
I show
he
the
said
world.
quietly.
Thanks.
Then who do I see?
I leaned back.
He let
against
out a
the
breath.
counter.
You in a
Someone
rush today?
unfinished. Wanting.
He shook his head.
There was a
Not
silence
unless I need to
between
be.
us that felt
I
heavier
reached
than
for
words.
another glass.
He stepped
my
closer,
arm brushing his.
the air around
He
us
didn't move
shifting.
away.
If you
His
want me to
hand
stop,
rested beside
say
mine.
so now.
Still
He said,
casual,
voice
still
just
close.
a whisper.
You
But
always
I
hang
didn't
around
speak.
this long.
In
I
that
asked,
moment, I
watching
didn't
him
want to
from the
stop
corner
anything.
of my eye.
Afterward,
Only
we
when
didn't
I'm
talk
welcome.
about it, but
I
the
didn't pull
space
my
between
hand
us
back.
was no longer
I
neutral.
leaned in slightly.
Every message from
You
him
haven't
hummed
overstayed yet.
with restrained
He shifted
tension.
just a little.
He never demanded,
His pinky brushed
never
mine.
presumed.
A small
but
thing.
He made it clear
But I felt
he
it like a
hadn't
spark
imagined
under
a
my
pull
skin.
between us.
I turned to
And
look
neither
at him.
had I.
He hadn't
Eventually,
looked away.
I found myself
Then
back outside
quietly,
his
he
office
lifted
door.
my hand into
The
his.
moment I stepped inside,
No hesitation.
the silence
Just a
spoke
gentle,
volumes.
sure motion.
I haven't stopped thinking
His
about
thumb
you, he
traced
said,
across my skin,
stepping forward.
almost
You're not
absent-mindedly.
alone in that.
He
I
raised my
admitted.
hand to his
He
face,
closed the
pausing
distance,
there,
slowly,
like he was
reverently.
thinking.
This
He held it a moment
complicates
longer,
everything.
then slowly
I
let
whispered.
go. Though I
His
didn't
other
move.
hand hovered
I've
near my
followed rules
waist,
my entire
not
life,
gripping,
he
just
replied.
there.
I didn't
they've left me
flinch.
empty.
My
The
hand
way he looked
touched
at
his
me,
chest,
raw,
warm under my
intent.
palm.
It scared
then
me more
dropped
than it
again.
thrilled me.
He stepped
This
forward
wasn't
a little.
infatuation.
I leaned
This
back
was
until I
something
met
that
the
could
counter
wreck
again.
lives.
Still,
He reached
didn't
for my
press in.
cheek.
His
Would you
touch
mind
soft.
closing the curtains?
I know this isn't
I
simple
asked
for either of
softly.
us.
He moved
But
right
I'm
away.
not afraid,
As he
he
crossed
said.
the room,
Not if you're
I
beside
touched the
me.
necklace at my
I
throat.
wasn't sure,
grounding
I could be
myself
that
in that
brave.
hush that had
This
bloomed
wasn't
between
just
us.
about me.
When
There
I
was
turned from the
Olivia,
window,
my history,
I found
everything
myself
I had
stepping
carefully
closer
kept in
without
order.
thinking.
I don't
The
know how to
pendant
do
slipped
this.
from my fingers.
Then
My
let's learn
hand
together,
rose
he
and
offered.
settled lightly
The next
against
morning,
his
he
chest near the
texted,
collarbone.
I meant what I
His
said.
eyes met
I won't
mine.
push, but I
and
won't
then we
vanish
kissed.
either.
I
Not
stared at the
rushed,
screen for a
not
long time
uncertain,
before another message
just
arrived.
quiet.
I'd like to
Understood.
see you tonight.
His hand
Only if
rose
you
to my
want to.
shoulder.
Logic
Steady,
screamed to
grounding.
run, to shut
I
this
touched
down
his
before it
infort
grew.
But
no
a
one
softer
moved too
voice,
fast.
when I hadn't
The quiet
listened to
held
in years,
more than
asked,
words could.
What if this
His
is what
other
you've been
hand
waiting
rested
for?
lightly behind
So
me,
I said
like
yes.
a promise.
That
not
night,
a question.
I arrived
Our
at his
foreheads
apartment,
touched for
an
a breath.
elegant penthouse,
That stillness
all
between
clean
moments.
lines and warm
When he
light.
looked at me again, then.
He opened the
I
door
saw
like he had been
something
waiting
steady
for
in
me
his
his whole
eyes.
life. He
We
glanced
didn't
toward the
rush.
counter.
We
Then
talked,
back to
really
me.
talked.
I gave a
He
small
asked
nod.
about my childhood,
That was all he
my
needed.
regrets.
He
The
stepped
last
closer,
time I felt joy.
hands sure.
No one had
and asked
eased
those
me
questions
gently
in
onto the
years.
edge of the counter.
Somewhere between
No
confessions
rush,
and long
just
silences,
presence.
our
My
hands
knees
found
brushed
each
his
other.
sides.
His
I
fingers
lifted my
laced through
hand to his
mine
cheek,
like they'd done it before.
drawing his gaze back to
I
mine.
know this won't be
Our
easy,
second kiss
he
was
said,
deeper,
eyes
more
searching
certain.
mine.
Like
But
we both
I'm
knew
tired
what
of
we were
pretending
doing now,
what I
what we were
feel
saying
isn't
without
real.
saying it.
Neither
My
am I,
hand
I
rested
whispered.
on his shoulder.
It wasn't a promise.
It stayed near my waist.
It wasn't a future.
Solid.
But it was truth.
Unmoving.
And
The
as he
hush in
leaned
the
in,
room was full,
his lips
not
brushing
empty.
mine with quiet
Full of
reverence.
everything we
I let
hadn't
myself
said,
believe that
but
maybe,
had always
just
known.
maybe,
He
I
pulled
didn't have
back
to keep
slightly,
running from what I wanted
eyes
anymore.
meeting mine again.
I nodded. He helped me down, slow and gentle. Still close. Still there. Neither of us stepping away. We walked together into the living room, footsteps soft against the floor. We sat on the couch, side by side. Our eyes found each other again. The moment was still there. Still warm. Still real. The kiss lingered between us, not hungry. Just enough. I reached for his hand. He let me. His thumb brushed over my knuckles, soft and sure. A sound slipped from me, quiet, surprised. Like I was just now realizing how deeply I felt it. The stillness wrapped around us like a soft blanket. I tilted my head back, eyes closed, breathing it in. And for once, I didn't need to say anything at all. The room was dim, wrapped in lamplight and hush. She sat beside him, fingers tangled gently in his. No rush. No questions. Just presence. Tea, she asked. He smiled. Only if it's with you. In the kitchen, their movements brushed. Deliberate. Soft. Steam rose between them, like something unspoken finally taking shape. Back on the couch, she leaned in. I like this, she whispered. This quiet with you. His fingers found hers again. I didn't know I needed it, he said. Not until now. She stood, offered her hand. He followed. In the moonlit sunroom, an old record played. They danced slow, barefoot, wordless. Her head on his chest. His arms around her. No promises. No plans. Just the rhythm of hearts learning how to be still, together. Diana stirred awake to soft morning light slipping through the sheer curtains. The living room was calm, wrapped in a still hush. She was still on the couch, a light blanket over her legs, and his hand still gently held hers. She turned her head. He was asleep, cheek resting on his arm, breath slow and steady. Peaceful. She tried to ease her hand away, but his eyes opened, slow and clear. Good morning, he murmured, voice still laced with sleep. You're still here, she whispered with a quiet smile. You didn't ask me to leave, he replied. For a few moments, neither spoke. Just looked at each other, something soft stretching between them, warm and real. Hungry, she asked. Only if you're making it. They moved into the kitchen, their movements natural, unhurried. Eggs cracked. Coffee brewed. The silence between them was full, not awkward, but settled. At the table, over mismatched mugs and simple toast, it felt like something had shifted. Like the night hadn't ended, just melted into this quiet morning. This thing between us, Diana started, hesitant. Feels right, he finished. She looked at him. And this time, when her hand found his again, it wasn't searching for permission. It was choosing something. A beginning.